All right, this is Myron reaction. This liberal got cooked for thinking women are equal to men. Wild title. Wild that he can just say this, but women are equal to men. So this is gonna be an interesting react.
Are not as optimal as men when women have throughout history been as optimal, and you're putting your head down and not arguing because you know I'm right, because you know there's no argument against factual history. Women throughout history have been in the same fields as men, got us to space.
What you're failing to realize is these women allegedly that invented some of this stuff, which they haven't, by the way, the reality is that when women do invent things or when they do get involved in certain career fields like STEM or whatever, they tend to be the minority, okay? If we had to rely on female ingenuity for society to continue, we would be. Hi.
You've talked so much about how is wrong, but you've also talked so much about how women don't deserve equal rights to men. So my question is, do you respect women since you talk so much against you? Is that just specifically towards men, or do you think that's towards women?
I don't respect women as equals.
Yeah, but when you talk
because
about
you're not equal.
Sorry. But when you talk about how it's so wrong, are you talking about male? Or are you talking about female, like women?
They're saying the R word, sexual assault.
Well, the majority are going to be on a guy to a woman, of course, right? So I'm saying we should punish those individuals. But once again, here's the thing. Let me ask you this. Do you think men should be able to protect and provide and...
I think anyone should.
Okay.
And I think both men and women and people who don't identify as either have.
Not really. Can't protect and provide the same degree.
Okay, let's talk about during World War II when men went to war. Who was working in the factories? Who was continuing to run society and having a profitable society?
Yeah, but the men were fighting is the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, and who was in America?
And women can't fight to the same degree as men.
But women were also in the army at the time, in the military as a whole.
Okay.
Yeah,
we're going to have this discussion. The reality is just because women are capable doesn't mean it's optimal.
So you do think men and women are both equally capable?
No, they're not equally capable. That's the problem.
They were both capable,
I said just because they're capable doesn't mean it's...
Yeah, they are capable. So why
shouldn't But that doesn't mean they're optimal.
But they are capable just like men, is
like
what you just said.
You can play basketball, but
no, I can't.
A guy can play basketball better.
Yeah, I'm 5'4".
But you're capable.
Basketball with anyone.
That's what I'm giving you an example of just because you're capable doesn't mean you're optimal.
And I just said I couldn't play basketball. But you just said, but women are capable, so why shouldn't women? I'm just saying what you were saying. Why shouldn't women?
Well, you cut the whole other part off with what I said after capable.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Someone was yelling at me.
Okay, I said just because they're capable doesn't mean they're optimal. So women can do a lot of the things that men do, but they can't do it at the same level.
So where do they not have the same? Why are they not considered optimal to you?
Because men are stronger.
Can you list one statistic? Cite one study about that, or are you just saying?
Do I need a study to tell you? Do I need a study to tell you that men are physically superior to women?
Yeah.
Incredible. See, this is what I'm talking about. I say stupid. Chat like that. Like
okay,
guys,
but I'm
we're
the
chat.
one who can
not
pull
chat,
up.
but
okay.
Like,
how about Heidi Levitt, an inventor?
This is like a live chat right now.
How about Stephanie Kolak, an inventor? When we have female inventors,
Sean, you know
and
what
we
to
have females doing the same thing as men.
Okay, what's the invention again?
What did you say?
You said there was a female inventor. What did she invent?
Sorry.
Yeah, we always fact check it.
Heidi Levitt, or not Levitt.
No,
Stephanie
what did she
Kolak.
invent?
Stephanie Kolak.
What
Look
did
up
she invent?
Stephanie Kolak right now.
What did
Stephanie?
You got it? Yeah, what did she invent?
She's in STEM. I'm not a STEM major. I just have studied women. How about Ella Golding? She's a philosopher.
What did they invent? What did they invent?
How about Heidi?
Yeah, freeze. He's just like...
I'm trying to think of more because there are so many.
See, the problem is you can't think of anything because they don't invent anything. That's what I'm trying to explain here. Like, aren't really the ones that invent and like push society. They don't. Okay? Men are the ones that have the ingenuity to do that.
That a woman has not also worked on. The invention of the light bulb, the invention of electricity. Look it up. Every single invention has had.
Thomas Edison, I guess, is a woman now.
Thomas Edison's wife is an inventor.
Here. Yeah. No, we got, Thomas Edison, of course, yeah. I see that here.
Look up his wife.
His wife.
You hear the misogynistic crowd, they're like calling her the B word. It's fucking insane, dude. I just don't like it because it's such a gross president. I hate it. One day you're gonna see the old days return where you're just having men openly scream at women slurs and tell them they're disgusting or gross and like throwing paint on them and like throwing stuff at them saying they're the most disgusting people on the planet. I only like that behavior for bad people. I don't like it for just a woman being opinionated. I like that for like very terrible humans. So that I do. Like I might have a little bit of sadism in me, which I apologize for. But when bad people kind of get shot in the place they talk the most shit from, you tend to realize they're holding the sword they killed people with their microphone, and you forget about the victims on the other side of those words, like getting your family members to be abusive toward you, or trying to manipulate people to hate each other, or try to get people to believe lies instead of truth. So they'll say your wife's cheating when she's not cheating and she'll lose her mind, or she'll say like, or they'll get you to believe that someone did something disgusting they never did, and it's just like something that you just stuck with, and they don't care because they don't see that end result. They don't see the years or the life they could have taken. They don't care. So it's just very frustrating. Very, very frustrating.
Wife?
Yeah.
There's nothing about his wife here.
I'm talking about women in STEM. You're saying that women are not as optimal as men when women have throughout history been as optimal. And you're putting your head down and not arguing because you know I'm right, because you know there's no argument against factual history.
Okay, let me
No, and
go
you're
through
speechless
this.
because there's no rebuttal because it's true. Women throughout history have been in the same fields as men, have been incredibly helpful in the invention of things, got us to space. There's movies about that shit.
Okay, so what you're failing to realize is the women that you're talking about that allegedly did some of this stuff, which they didn't, by the way.
Allegedly, it's in history
Can I
books.
finish
Is
my
everything
point?
alleged
Can I
to
finish my
you?
point? Because you're, I'll let you.
Yeah, go for it. Go
No,
for
finish
it.
your entire point, then I'll respond. Go ahead.
No, you wanted to finish. Finish your point. What am I not realizing?
Okay. So what you're not realizing is these women allegedly that invented some of this stuff, which they haven't, by the way. The reality is that when women do invent things or when they do get involved in certain career fields like STEM or whatever, they tend to be the minority, okay? If we
Yeah.
had to rely upon female, oh, look, of course. So are we surprised? Anyway, if we had to rely on female ingenuity for society to continue, we would be okay?
Were
Men
we
run
fucked
all the
after
main
World War II
infrastructure.
when all of the men went to
Because you're
war?
talking about the exception to the rule, but the reality is
What
the
is
majority of women
exception
don't
to
do
the
that.
rule? Of course, there's an exception to the rule when for years, women and people of color have been not allowed to do things. But once we started in society to allow women and people of color to
All right,
move
we
into
looked
these
this up.
fields,
Thomas Edison had 2 wives, and neither of them did anything here, according to
that's
ChatGPT.
not even true.
So again, women
Okay,
taking credit
let's
for a
open
man's work as
history
usual.
book.
Do you have an argument? What's your actual argument?
That women throughout history have been as capable, and you even said women are capable, and they've helped progress
They're not as
society.
capable at all.
They are.
No, they're not.
You literally said they were. You said they were capable but not optimal. Why are you going back on your argument that you just had?
When I say women are capable but not optimal, I mean as in a man can do it better. And they're not capable in everything. They're capable in some
Name
things.
one thing they're not capable in. Stop turning my mic down. Name one thing that they're not capable in.
Are weaker than men, don't have the same physical prowess as a man. That's why men typically tend to build
talking
things.
about
Men
in
have
STEM
invented
right
most things.
now.
Men create infrastructure. Men don't. I mean, like,
Women do.
see, here's the issue, right?
Okay, what he just described, if you swapped out women with any other race, you would see very quickly how men would rob them of their accomplishments, rob them of their dignity, and just steal from them. But of course, they don't want to acknowledge that. But even with the accomplishments there, and she brought up quite a couple, she brought up a lot. There's a lot of famous philosophers that were women. They were made fun of, insulted. Some were killed because they were speaking out against men. A lot of women are very intelligent, very hardworking people, and there's a lot of women that can do physical labor the same as men. A lot of them. Like they're very strong people. I always understood the concept of just the body the body itself is not a definition by gender, but if you understand the mass of which they worked hard and trained for, women can squat more than men. You can look at a gym. You can really just look at a gym and look at the basics of what he just said, that women can do more. Women can squat more than men. Some women can bench more than men. There's women bodybuilders out there that clearly show you that their genetics did not take into effect of making them better than anyone. They just took discipline and consecutive hard work to make them strong. physically there's women better than a majority of men. Still out there, depends on hard work, depends on the science of nutrition, depends on the science of how much work you put in terms of intelligence. We can prove that just basic IQ tests as well as their capabilities in our modern society, being able to capable comprehend a lot of the same things we comprehend, proves again that these dominated spaces of men are mainly due to resources and education afforded to them first, and then of course because of gender roles they were told this is a man's job, that we trust men in these positions. A lot of these women are just capable. A lot of women know calculus. A lot of women know how to code. A lot of women know how to conduct themselves in offices better than men, and better than coding, and better at biology or testing in hospitals and doctors. And they understand, a lot of concepts that would create a new informational understanding. I know a woman invented a new code for language that navies use right now. A lot of women are extremely capable people, very capable people. The idea that they're not capable, I proved physically they are. I can prove mentally they are. I just did in a lot of situations. These men look for the men over shadowing women because they know their talking points fall apart when you can prove that women are the same one for one. So they fall back to just numbers, which again can be proven that through history they were oppressed until recently in the 60s, where they just barely got seen as human to vote. Because before then, that's thousands of years of women being seen as a lesser inferior species, which is the same as black people. And it wasn't just some, it was all. All black people, all women were seen as inferior species. Because of that, a lot of oppression occurred, a lot of thieving of ideas, a lot of robbery and disrespect, and still to this day it happens. White men will steal a bunch of ideas from black and brown men. They'll push them to homelessness and they'll say they stole everything, and they'll claim that they didn't steal a thing and that guy is a loser. They'll rob you of your dignity, of your self-respect, of your ideas of a better tomorrow. They do this to women all the time, every time if they can, because again, when they fight back, they think they won't be able to accomplish anything, or they're overwhelmingly in a room filled with misogynistic men that are saying, "Get this B word off the phone or microphone, get her away. We hate her. She's disgusting." Put her in her place, and then in a place like that she gets peer pressured to be quiet because now she's not just scared of them, she might actually get killed or hurt by them, which historically has happened. Because again, historically, you come from an origin of being a woman being oppressed, but you can also be like very violently oppressed. It doesn't just happen with mean words, it happens very violently. They take away your ability to earn income, they take away your ability to earn education, and then they'll take away your ability to vote, is what they did to black slaves, Latinos, which used to be called Native Americans. They did it to all women until the 60s. So again, a lot of the white privileged men, which not all white men, because a lot of white men were enslaved too, kind of proves to you that the dynamic of being oppressed or coming from an oppressed people gives you a lot more understanding and perspective as to why a lot of these people may look like they're incompetent, but they're extremely able and extremely equal, because extreme equality in their head is extreme misandry or extreme misogyny sometimes, when men tend to win places that women are usually used to winning. They might be a little bit more misogynistic, like men are great. Men, I told you men were great. All these women, I still won. The concepts can flip flop back and forth, because when you come from a position of privilege, you tend to forget that privilege because winning becomes so easy to you. And it is more of like a handout when you come from an origin of a lot of people just handing you information and just giving it to you, and you're not seeing the bad idea of that when you just rob them of an idea, a patent, or an invention, and then you pretend like they're crazy and losing their mind, and you gaslight them, and you put your woman in a psych ward because you think she's out of her mind, but really it's to cover up the inventions or cool stuff that they're capable of doing. And then it just ends in like this big case where everyone just sees them as lesser or an inferior person. They do this in civil rights. They told a lot of civil rights leaders they're crazy. They have schizophrenia, they're dementia, or they're riddled with all these diseases, and their past defines them because their past is filled with liars, it's filled with deceivers, it's filled with a bunch of slanders, and no one can really stop it because again, they're just a brown person. And a brown person's opinion compared to a white man in a white supremacist society means nothing. And so a woman's opinion in a male dominated society, that's earth, would oftentimes be quieted down, unless of course they're playing the racial angles or any other class angles, in which case they get their privileges, but not all of them, because now it's more of like a tool of weapon of power rather than it is a default understanding that everyone is equal in a human being.
We can't even have because she doesn't live in reality. So since you don't live in reality, we don't even have a foundation to go
right
off
now.
of.
I'm right here.
Right?
Where do I not live in reality when I'm pulling stuff from things that already happened? I'm not saying in some random future world. I'm saying right now, there are more women going into university and college and jobs right now than there are men. The percentage of women is higher than the percentage of men going into jobs.
And you know what's interesting? Women dominate college attendance and college graduation. But why is it that men still control all the infrastructure?
They don't.
Because they get useless jobs. That's why.
Women are moving up in the
They go to school for dumb shit like African American studies, right? Or
Bro, what do you mean?
Why they go to school for retarded shit,
towards yourself?
and they don't get a job after. So it is what it is. Like,
are you saying that you're lesser than white people? Why are African American studies not important?
I'm giving an example. It's a major. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that women go to school and major in dumb shit and get useless jobs if they even get a job, and the men still control the infrastructure because men and women are different. Okay? That's just how it is.
There are more women going into STEM fields than there are men right now.
There's more men in STEM. We absolutely dominate it.
The percentage is higher.
It's like 90% plus. And the thing is, you know, it's interesting because, like you said, women are graduating at a higher degree, yet men still control these fields. That should tell you something.
It's changing. Have you not seen? Like, it's completely flipping. There are more women going into these STEM fields.
Men still dominated. Men still dominated, despite the fact that women have an overrepresentation in the institutions.
Yeah, but what do you think is going to happen when more women go in and more men are leaving because they retire out of it?
Men still dominated.
You think more women
and it's also important to understand that men dominated despite the fact that women are graduating at higher rates. That's very important.
Yeah, because men have been in it, and now more women are going into it. I'm not saying I'm saying what do you think will happen? Do you think men will still dominate it in the next 50 years when more women?
If women dominate it, buildings are going to be falling all over the place. We're not going to progress as much.
Why? Why do you think that?
What's happening with men in power? We're at war.
Yeah, everything that goes wrong is because of men in power.
All right, let the woman come up. What do you have to say? She's been heckling the whole time. All right.
You try to say that if women are in power, things will fall apart. But what's happening right now as a man is in power, and a man has been in power. And we have been struggling as a country. Gas prices have went up. We're currently at war. So what is, like, if things are with men?
Still better than Kamala, though. Still better than Kamala, though.
What?
No, the thing is, what?
3 women versus 1. Let's go. They're conspiring together. Okay, what are we gonna say? What are we gonna say? What's up? Go ahead.
No, we were just making fun of you.
Okay, but with no facts, though. With no facts.
Is that not a fact that President Trump is in office?
Yeah, but men are still better leaders, and that's better than Kamala.
She just threatened me, by the way. She said she's gonna hurt me.
She said she's gonna hurt you.
I didn't
See,
say
there you
that.
go.
I didn't say that.
Female privilege. Female privilege.
I never
Okay, so
said
what's your
that.
actual argument? I just told you still better than Kamala. What's your argument?
I never said that. You said,
No, I said, because you're saying, oh, we are at war right now and men lead that. What I'm arguing is that it's still better than Kamala Harris being president.
well, I think that politicians in themselves are corrupt. I think that you're just trying to use Kamala Harris as a tactic to pit men against women. And I'm talking about how men in power in general, and you're trying to make it a gender thing. And that's where, yeah, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, things are just better when men are in charge. Like, can't lead anything. Name one matriarchy that stood the test of time. Exactly, none. Like men have been the leaders of revolutions, men have been the inventors, men have created everything that you enjoy, right? The crazy dye that you probably use to make your red hair, a man probably invented that, right? It is what it is. Like, men lead everything. And I'm tired of having to, like, lie and be like, oh no, women are equal and, like, women should be championed. It's like, dude, realistically speaking, don't contribute to society the same way that men do. I mean, the fact that none of you can actually formulate an argument, we got 3 or 4 women together, and you guys still can't make an argument is comical to me.
All right, so the idea that women can't lead, the women matriarchy never exists. Every man is supported by a woman, and without that woman, we wouldn't have our society because a lot of your ideas and endeavors are inspired by women, and they are there with you helping invent it. They're with you helping discuss it. They're there helping you put in input. They're helping you with the dynamic of your society moving forward. And a lot of the time, those ideas are taken and used because the same way a man can talk to another man and he'll take all his ideas and run it and run with it and become rich and wealthy, well, the guy who came up with all the ideas gets no money, is the same concept that if you just listen to women, make your money, go to work, and you come back and you're stress relieved because not of sex, but because of discussion, because someone actually respects and cares for you. You have a discussion board, you have a discussion of inventions, you have a discussion of patents, you have a discussion of all sorts of ideas. A lot of the times, women would have a hand in it and never get the credit because if they did get the credit, the men of that governance would try to lynch her or hurt her or tell her to stay away and watch her mouth. And you can experiment with this. A lot of people are told to do this, but if you say something, have a man say it. And then have the man parrot exactly what you wanted to say, and suddenly that viewpoint is respected. Suddenly it's accepted. Suddenly it's responded to with dignity and respect. But if you have a woman say it, then the woman gets told to shut up that noise and just stay quiet and just know your place. Which is why a lot of the time I tell people to speak through other people, because sometimes that's your speaker. And when you have a speaker or a voice for you, you can utilize that continuously, because it's a trick I like to develop when I was younger, because a lot of these men were sociopaths around me growing up. They're all lying. They're all evil people, and none of them are capable of change. But the dynamic's simple. You can prove it by speaking to other people and speaking through them, and suddenly their fake behavior changes, because their fake behavior is based on misogyny. It's based on someone being sexually attractive to them if it's a very beautiful woman. It's based on someone who might be known as like a super genius, because the super genius now sounds super cool. And because of that, their perspectives, their class privilege, their status privilege, their money privileges, and every privilege you can think about is pushed through that. And I used this on people when I was very young. And of course, a lot of people can use this against you as well, because they'll have women say the same thing men say, and you'll have to respect a woman who's extremely dumb, and that woman is going to be ignored, but she said something really smart. And now it's suddenly the man sees like, oh, it's literally just because you're like a woman that they see as dumb, and you said something smart but nothing happened because of it. I use tricks like that all the time. I know it sounds trickery, I know it sounds terrible, but if you get the hang of tricking people and really like finding out how fake they are and how they lie, because they're lying a lot, trust me, a lot of these men are getting their ideas from their women. And if you talk to them, you'll see they're a little territorial, but you see the woman's the actual genius and the actual like idea maker, and he's embarrassed, but she loves him. She genuinely loves him. So she lets him get the credit. She lets him look like the big guy. She lets him feel like, yeah, I did that. I did that. She's like, yeah, yeah, you did. You know, like they hype you up. Now imagine thousands of years of that, where women are told that you're supposed to support your husband, you're supposed to support men in society, and your role as a human being is a support role rather than a leader, rather than someone who can guide themselves or teach themselves. Again, we rob a lot of these people of their respect and dignity and install what we would call inferiority complex, because speaking up for themselves becomes very difficult, especially if it's a male dominated society and you're like, this is the best man we got and I just gotta give him like a couple yeses and you're good to go, dude. You did that, because he has no like real confidence. And then eventually you get the man that gives all the credit where it's due, because he realizes respect and dignity come from a lot of mercy and faith, that they'll pick up on what's happening and pick up on how to respect someone. A lot of women are getting their voice. A lot of women are speaking up. A lot of women are letting men know that what they're doing is wrong and mean, and it hurts. And it's hard for men to understand, because a lot of them need tons of progress and tons of education. And a lot of women aren't there for that. A lot of women aren't going to be there for that. To understand that sometimes takes experience, and sometimes through experience you lose some of the sweetest, loving, caring people you've ever met in your life, because you're just not appreciative of them. I've personally dealt with a lot of people like that, who are terrible human beings, and they didn't see me as someone worth keeping around because I was just nice and sweet, but they saw as cruelty to be nice and sweet. So I had to leave. I had to just dip out. And then I met people, unfortunately, during that leaving phase that was like a very horrible rip and break off. And they swore I was the bad guy. But eventually, when I left, I realized I was the good person. I understood my perspectives, my characteristics, my ideology. And a lot of them just doubled down on being very horrible people, because they just had a bunch of women around them validate their behavior and lying and deceiving people. And because of that, that whole group became a very deceitful, cruel, evil perspective of society, filled with hatred and animosity, because they only wanted to be seen as heroes to everything. And that's of course, where a lot of discussion can happen with virtue signaling because it exists very prevalent in a society where those people exist. I know I had to, again, try to prove that they were disgusting and sociopathic, but none of them cared. Because again, it was a sexual attraction. Because again, it was they got a degree, they're accredited, and because of that, they were always seen as superior to someone who's low class or uneducated. Because they literally called me an inferior race to Asians at one point, which of course was a narrative of a lot of Republicans saying Asians were superior, which is why again I had to disassociate with a lot of these people or disconnect, not, you know what I mean? Like I had to really rip apart because there were some of the most callous, disgusting human beings I've ever met in my life. This is kind of like that understanding that a lot of these women don't really get the treatment they deserve. They don't get the respect they deserve, which is why a lot of these women usually end up leaving these types of people and don't associate with them, which is where the narrative of all these women are evil and you got to sleep with a bunch of them to find a good one and stuff like that, because a lot of them get the worst. The people that I attach to, I'll just call them Enoch because they're associated with someone called Jared, and this person called Jared was a psychopathic piece of shit, a really sociopathic, horrible human being, not capable of changing. He had a whole group that he grew up with and he never let go of. He always spoke with them and like had this terrible personality, and they all just validated each other like a network of the worst types of human beings you've ever met in society. Narcissistic, sociopathic, cruel, sadistic, really just horrible humans. But you put someone with like a big rack in front of them and suddenly they're like, oh ma'am, I would never. And they just turn in, they wouldn't turn southern, but they turn into like the most gross depiction of someone picking up a mask and putting it on, and they're just disgusting people in reality. And it took a while to figure that out because they had all these different friend groups and personality perspectives. Some people be like, yeah, they did terrible stuff, but they make you giggle through charisma, and so the charisma made you ignore the horrible stuff they did. These were just pure disgusting human beings. None of them were worthy of respect or dignity. None of them were really good people at all. They're genuinely just a terrible, horrible human. All of them. Anyone who took their side, I used it as like a red flag off the bat. Terrible human, terrible human, terrible human, because they were just so gross. They were just so gross. So I was just proud that I ran into someone who told me how gross they were, because I personally still give them credit. They saved my life. They genuinely saved my life. But wherever they are, I hope they're doing good, and I hope they're not associated really at all ever, because that would break my heart. But that's life. So you figure out that life's not fair. Life's very cruel. So some of those guys do win. You can see Myron makes money, 6 figures off disrespecting women. He literally just disrespects them all day, makes tons of cash. Some of these people probably are very wealthy. They think money means they're doing good in life, which means they're going around disrespecting people, treating them terrible, and think they're smart. We're gonna have to fight a long time in politics to fix this. There's a lot of women who will go through abuse and horrible situations, meet sociopaths of their own, and they'll have to do this on their own because they didn't run into someone who they were lucky enough to meet some of the kindest, sweetest human beings they ever met in their life. You'll figure it out. I know I did, and it was a terrible experience. I just wish I could have met those people at a good point in my life instead of the worst I've ever been in, because I was busy fighting against the world. And that's a different story. That's a different story. Maybe for another video. And, let's just call it how I almost ended the world. It's a joke. You'll see.